Breakfast with Cobb Colvin.
Trickstar Radio.
Right, we're in the building. Just gone 20 to 9 here, Trickstar Radio. We've got Hot Goods in the building. How are you doing? You slowly but surely waking up?
Yeah, again, I had a coffee before I came in. I think it might be finally
like kicking in.
Getting into my bloodstream,
Having that kick-in factor. That's what we like to see. So that one is the Bad Blood VIP. Good stuff. Very kind of, I don't want to say moogie because that's the wrong word, but very kind of modular, I feel, in a lot of like the sounds in there. And again, it's very unique in this sort of almost like in between the kind of UK-based sound and the more sort of Americanized LA night-based sound. It has this like unique sort of pocket. Like, how would you say you kind of found this sort of individual sound? It's a big question.
It is a massive question. A lot of trial and error, a lot of experimenting, a lot of like obviously listening to other people. Obviously, there's always going to be influences creeping in. I don't know. I kind of.
Who are the artists like in particular you feel that would you could put down if you were to like do like a trifecta of people you've like had the inspiration from? Who would you say in there?
Like recently?
Recently,
I mean, obviously Chris Lorenzo.
Yeah.
I'm sure most people would probably.
I think he might be the most mentioned inspiration name on this show.
For sure. Red Light, hugely as well. Kind of, not so much in the sound that I make, but just in terms of his music inspires me.
I think the thing with Red Light, I always say this about Red Light, I think there's two people in the UK that have a sound that you can always tell it's them no matter what they make, and I think that's Red Light and Disclosure. I think they're the two people that they could make anything and it would still be uniquely them. And Red Light's had that since he's been Red Light, and Disclosure have always had it as well. I've always said that they're the two that I would pinpoint as people you can always tell it's one of their tunes. I think I can definitely see both of the influences in there. I can definitely see like the mix and blend coming together. Like how would you feel about like bass as an overall entity at the minute? Like, do you feel it's in a good place and a bad place?
I think there's like a huge amount of exciting things happening. I think the scene is quite saturated, and it is starting to maybe get a little bit to the point that dubstep was at, where it might become very Americanized, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Obviously, that's like there's a huge amount of opportunity there.
Yeah, I think as well in America for this, the American side of things generally, there's two sides to this really. There's EDM and there's American bass music. Yeah, they're two very separate entities.
For sure.
EDM is the loud, I don't want to say annoying, but the loud, in your face, brash. You can tell it's there kind of sound, and then the more LA sort of sound, which is what I want to get into. Absolutely. Obviously. The LA sound is a lot more subtle, a lot more stripped back, a lot more kind of groovy, interesting, a little bit more highbrow to an extent, where you've got kind of there's a lot more sort of interesting things going on rather than loud things going on. I feel a lot of the time. Like, how did you become part of this kind of this like trifecta, shall we say? Because I've noticed it recently. Brighton, London, LA. Don't know when it happened, but there's this big triangle.
I'd have Bristol with that as well.
So you make it a four thing. Okay.
I don't know what that is. A quadfecta?
We'll say quadfecta.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Bristol's like so massively important in UK music and always has been. Like Yang and all that, but I think there's a lot of artists coming out of Bristol at the moment that are kind of getting on the night bass.
That's similar sort of like so how would you define the night bass sound? Because I hear this term a lot. It's very night bassy. It's a night bass sound.
Like, it's become a genre basically.
It has become a genre.
Insanely impressive.
Yeah, for a record like this. I mean, the only other label I can think of in that sort of vein is Motown.
Yeah.
Like when you sit back and think about it, how would you define this night bass sound?
I think you had it pretty well when you said like it's a lot more stripped back. It's a little bit more subtle. It's got like a lot more groove, a little bit more swag. It tends to be a bit more like vocal oriented. Often the tunes have like cool vocal samples or actually vocalists. And I feel there's quite a lot of like range in it. So you've got a lot of the dirtier stuff on there, but there's also a lot more kind of minimal tech influences. So it's kind of weird that there is this night bass sound, whereas like two tunes, one can be quite bassy, one can be really techy, but they both just have like that night bass feel.
They have this kind of this underlying sort of. I don't even know the best way to. It's difficult to describe, isn't it? It is. I think this underlying sort of like almost like a fuzz, like a hum, like something underneath it which gives quality, it that sort of vibe. Like how do you feel about being based in Brighton? Do you think it's a good place to be?
Yeah, man, I love Brighton. It's it's a really cool scene here. It's a cool community. Obviously, everything South Point's doing is awesome. I like Brighton a lot.
I think recently as well, like the last 2 years, I'd say, there was a point obviously a few years ago where everything did sort of dry up, and that was originally like the mantra for even South Point coming around in the first place. But more on the topic of just the general community, I definitely think Brighton's become almost like a bit of a hotbed where people want to come again. You know what I mean? When people like visit the UK, obviously we had Greed and CLB come over quite recently. One of the places they went London, Bristol, and Brighton. There were 3 places, which is how it used to be, and it slowly feels like it's getting back to that. How important do you feel the community in Brighton is music-wise?
Yeah, I think hugely important. I think anywhere you are, like it's important to have a good community. You need to have people you can reference to, and obviously not compare yourself to what's going on around you, but it's good to look around you and see positive things happening, because that makes you want to do positive things.
It drives you, and I think as well, if you surround yourself with people that are doing well, you're going to want to do as well as them.
It's good to be a little bit competitive.
Yeah, I see nothing wrong with a competitive nature at all. I think it's needed if you want to succeed.
Sure.
So one thing I do want to discuss as well, it's been a good year for you. It's been a good sort of 18 months, I'd say, for you, pretty much like on a constant sort of roll, working with Bingo. Now this is obviously one of the sort of, if we're talking like establishment wise, this is probably one of the top 5 bass labels in the world potentially, if we're actually sitting back and looking at it. Obviously headed up by Zinc, one of the real pioneers of bass music over the years, be that involved in drum and bass or be involved in this more sort of, I mean, there was a point it was called Crack House, I think, for a while. Obviously with While Out, one of the biggest tunes at that time. We've had Gammy Elbow as well come out, which is one of the biggest tunes, like a real creator of amazing tunes. How did it feel to have that kind of like thing of, he wants me on this label?
Yeah, I mean, that was again one of the best sort of days of my music career, was just opening up my email and just seeing an email from Zane being like, "Yo man, can I grab some tunes?" I was like, I've been sing for ages.
This is like literally DJ Zinc.
Yeah. Like Next was like, I still play out pretty much most sets. Again, when I was sort of making that transition from dubstep to house, I remember hearing Next and being like, wow, this tune is like, it's insane.
I think as well with Zinc, like Zinc, it's a bizarre one with Zinc. I think he's one of the few that has really stood the test of time. Absolutely. I think him and Shy FX are possibly the 2 most in that sort of field that have gone multi-genre. They've gone and done loads of different things. They've got started here, gone here. We'll still always go back to their roots every now and then, but they will really kind of look around different kind of areas and go like, wow, we are, and you look at their discography, they've got things in every sort of genre that work, and it's almost like it's almost just like a name on the wall that you don't even realise is still like still active, and then you look at it and you go, what? It must be insane. I mean, obviously having Night Bass and Bingo in the same year, it must be over the moon.
Yeah, that was good. I mean, sort of the 3 like labels that I would have most wanted to work with is Night Bass, Bingo, and UKF.
Yeah,
and I got to work with all of them this year, and like, honestly, it was, it's been insane.
It's been a good year.
It's been.
If you like show wise, like which has been your sort of like favourite thing to like get involved with, like favourite either play or go to?
My favourite show, probably the favourite show that I played this year was out in Paris. Just because like the French crowds, man. Like, honestly, like.
I feel anywhere apart from this is the thing. I'm not going to try and slate UK crowds at all, because I love the UK to pieces.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
Especially musically. But I tend to find it when you're abroad, like crowds just tend to love it more.
Oh my god, like, they go in. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Like,
where was the show in Paris?
Trabendo,
okay.
With Joyride, it was like, honestly, I've never seen that much energy in a place, like,
amazing,
probably ever.
Good stuff. It's what I like to hear, man. I like to hear about people doing well. I like to hear about people talk, like going and playing abroad and going and doing these shows.
It was just seeing like how well the UK scene does out there. Like,
yeah, I think we are at a point now, definitely, where it's, especially, I've said it recently as well, this kind of almost like move away from a lot of the sort of Americanized sort of stuff, more in sort of hip hop and like and rap sort of styles as well. But I do think when you kind of look at it with the UK sound across Europe, especially, it's just so well received at this point. It's amazing to see. We're going to jump into a remix from yourself next. This one's a remix of You and I. Who's the original artist on this one?
Dr. Mika, featuring Lorna King.
Nice. So give me a bit of an introduction to this one.
So this was on Circus Records again, like getting to work with Circus.
Yeah, the Circus. The thing, we didn't even get to talk about it. This is a madness.
That was like a genuine dream come true. Like before Night Bass even existed, you know, like I was.
Circus was there.
And like
before Night Bass, there was Circus.
But Circus probably like the first label I actually was like, you know, I'd love to work with them one day, like in my wildest dreams. So again, like having the remix offer come through, it's just crazy feeling.
Amazing, man.
So yeah.
Good stuff. Right, we're going to jump into this one next, your remix of You and I. This one is the Hot Goods version, shall we say. Just gone 10 to 9 here on Trickstar Radio. We're in the building. What is the best social media app for people to get you on?
Instagram,
and what's the handle?
hot_goods_UK.
That's what I'm here to hear. Good stuff. Don't go anywhere. We're live on Breakfast.
Waking up Brighton.
Breakfast with KXVU.